Hello my 7 Deadly Sins family and friends, welcome back to another video. I apologise for taking so long to have this posted. It's been my son's birthday and we've had lots of family gatherings and parties and celebrations and whatnot, so I do apologise. So I'll probably have lots of different clips from different videos that I've created over the past days when I've had time. Please leave a like, comment and subscribe. I really appreciate it. Without further ado, I would suggest using this team if you can. Obviously you have Escanor with the axe. We're going to have Manny with her staff. You can get her from one of the free SSR selectors. We get Slater for free. It's all depending if you have Daisy or not. If you do, perfect. It's probably the best team you can have for most overall situations. If you do not have Daisy, there are alternatives. So you could use Gila. You can use her in two different ways. You can either use her with her rapier, with her new engraved set for filling it with a burst bar, or you can use her sword and shield. Her shield gives more fire damage. You could use Tristan with his dual swords. If you have him P10, when he bursts, he gives 10% crit chance, 50% fire damage to fire units. Other than that, even if you don't have that, he reduces fire resistance, and he's just a good overall mini support for fire teams. Other overall supports you could use Drake with his staff. This reduces crit resistance and crit defense. Exactly the same you could use Hauser. Other than that, you could use Dedrin for his rapier ultimate, which increases attack in an area around you. Or you could pre-charge and stun enemy with gloves Grimoire, which also gives you an attack buff. You could also potentially choose to use King because he can give you a 20% damage buff as well. That's all the damaging buffing units you could use for your team. See who you have and kind of mix and match who you think is best. But I think crit damage is so important, and obviously reducing crit resistance and crit defense is so important. So in my mind, this is the best team. So now let's go over the stats for a P4 unit that you could potentially have. I have him at 17.3k attack, only P4. I can get him higher, but people wanted to see how he would be, so only putting him once. I got his Gluttonous Soul Axe, level 50, no limit breaks. I've also got the Great Sword. It does not have equipment attack because I want to use it, and then standard SR weapon with equipment attack to give him as much attack as possible. I was able to roll some quite nice stats onto the Soul Axe. As for his armor, this is my second try of getting it, and even re-rolling the engravement bonus. I wasn't very lucky at all, but I do have the level 2 passive, which is quite nice, and 126 out of 130. We're using the Arachne Melody Ring with a bit more fire attack and the crit chance, and then we're using a 2-piece Mad Miner set just so I can get a bit more crit damage, a little bit more health. Now you've seen that, obviously you might have different stages from what you have. If you have more than that, better. You can be stronger, wonderful, that's fantastic. If not, that's probably where you can probably look towards in getting with your attack stats and such, and hope for similar rolls. Now, let's quickly go over why Daisy is so incredibly good for Escanor and probably any DPS for the future. We obviously know that with her book, she gives the crit damage between 15 and 30%, and with her basic attack she reduces crit resistance. Her ultimate also reduces crit defense by 50%. But she now has a brand new engraving which you can get between 6 and 10% passive crit chance all the time, which is really, really good. But then if an allied hero crits when there's a crit resistance debuff, she reduces crit defense up to a maximum of 48%, which is crazy. All these Abyss bosses have high resistances and defenses, so reducing it means you're going to do a lot more damage. Now, I'm not sure if I showed this before, but in my mind, for the highest damage possible, instead of the Arachne set, accessories on Escanor is probably these three pieces of accessories. You have a 2-piece Mad Miner set. You get these from Nightmare bosses. I believe it is Nightmare Dragon and Nightmare Gila to get these 2 pieces. And then lastly, from Galland himself, you get the Corrupted Watcher's Ring. And why this is really good is because it gives its base sub-stat is crit damage, and it can roll either crit chance or crit damage or attack, which all are fantastic. If you can get double crit damage, that is really, really good. Let's move over to the training zone, and I can kind of showcase some combos that you could do with Escanor. Now, if you want to start your fight with the biggest nuke possible, we are not ever going to combo ultimate with Escanor because you reduce your damage immensely. So if you have this team, or basically any team, you want to basically pre-buff everything possible, and then you're going to go in with Escanor, use his E, and then ult straight away. But with this team, we're going to start off by buffing with Daisy. We're going to put the buff on the floor with Manny. We're going to switch over to Slater, fully charge to get the crit resist down, and then switch to Escanor. We're going to wait until the debuff is 4 here. You can see the 4 debuff here. And then we're going to ult. And with that, you do insane amounts of damage because you've reduced the crit defense, you've reduced the crit resistance, you have got all 12 stacks of Flames of Fire for more fire damage, and then you have full ult gauge, which each extra ult gauge circle or pip for Escanor's ult increases his damage also. Now let's say we don't have full ult gauge and you're going through a longer fight because you've already done the ult but you haven't killed the enemy. Then you just do the same rotation really. You get your skills down to start debuffing the enemies, you know, and then charge your ultimate up again, keep switching through enemies, you know, dodging around when you can, and then repeat the cycle of buffing, debuffing, and then ulting with Escanor. With Manny, it won't take too long because her circle buff increases magic charge rate, and if you can tag a lot, you can fill that ult gauge quite fast. So there we go. We go in, we can E, and then we can ult. So now let's switch over to say you do not have Daisy, and you're going to use, say, Gila or Tristan, and showcase the rotation in that sense. Now we could do the exact same thing with the ult nuke with the Gila like we've got here. If you're using the sword and shield one, you just use get the shield buff for that 30% extra fire damage. But I want to showcase what you would want to do with burst. So you would go in, you'd get the burst bar up, you'd get your buffs down from your 2 buffers, you switch to Escanor, you would E, and then you can ult if you want to, or wait until you've got full ult before you do ult. Now that we've gone over the different styles of combos that you can do with Escanor, let's showcase a free-to-play P4 Escanor running Galland Abyss solo.
At dawn I kneel to none. The gold wakes up in me. One step and shadows crack like glass beneath my feet. I wear my pride like fire, a crown no one can take. When I lift up my head, the whole sky starts to shake. The road bows down when I come near. Your kings grow small, I have no fear. Escanor, I decide the day. retreat or hide. I stand where thunder ends and leave the world in light. The road bows down when I come near. Your kings grow small. I have no fear. Escanor, I decide.
Now you see that Abyss clear. It's totally possible, even with a P4 Escanor and a really free-to-play team. You can get all those units. You get both Tristan and Gila free-to-play, just given to you, and you get an SR selector for Manny. I'm going to pop up on the screen right now the team he used. And look, he only had Gila with 9.7k and Tristan with 7.3k. He had about 200k HP, so he probably just made sure they all had as much HP as possible. But other than that, they're really not invested in that much. So basically try and get as much HP as possible, and then focus all your like damaging stuff and all resources other than that into Escanor. Now we have kind of showcased the free-to-play P4. Let's quickly hop over and I'll showcase what you can do if you've got very high potential. Probably P7 and above can do some insane stuff. I think with P9 you can just one-shot basically. So we're back with the main team with Daisy and full alt gauge ready. No matter your potential, I would probably say this is probably the best start out you can do for Abyss Galland. This will obviously change when they remove having full alt gauge, but when you start the dungeon, which I think is really stupid, but hey ho. We've got the fruit and meat pie buff for 17% attack and 12% crit chance. So we're going to run in, we're going to Q to get the crit damage buff, we're going to switch to Manny to put her crit damage field on the end, we're going to wait for 3 minutes 52 or whatever 52 to start charging Slater's axe, and then when it's fully charged it's going to hit just as Galland is vulnerable to be hit. We're then going to switch in with Escanor and basic attack fully until we get hit by Galland, and then as soon as we're able to press E with Escanor, we're going to press E and then use our ultimate without doing a combo ult. So Q, switch to Manny, put her Q down, switch to Slater, wait for 52, fully charge the axe, hit, go in with Escanor, attack. Galland is going to hit us. Ready, going to get hit, wait for we can E, and then ult. Boom. Look, so I did not crit, so this is kind of good. It kind of showcases you. He jumps, which is really annoying. It's probably the worst thing he can do because you just can't do damage. But there we go. And then we're going to go in and basically use our abilities and try and kill him or anything else. So this is probably the way you will do it if you are probably P6, P7 mainly or higher. Anyway guys, I hope you found this video helpful. It's kind of taught you maybe the combo and combinations you can use with Escanor, as well as the different types of supports that can be useful with him. And I hope that it has helped people from all different ranges of strength to kind of know what to do. Really do make sure you don't combo ult, because it really like limits his damage output by a lot. But yes, if you have found this helpful, please consider subscribing, leaving a like and a comment. I would appreciate it so much, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.